Good evening and welcome to the third ELETS Healthcare Transformation Summit. We are now heading into the final panel discussion of this third ELETS Healthcare Transformation Summit, and this is on new age technologies for futuristic healthcare. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Rupak Barua, CEO AMRI Hospital. Welcome, sir. Mr. Rajiv Sikka, Chief Information Officer, Medanta, the Medicity. Welcome, sir. Mr. Neeraj Lal, Chief Operating Officer, Apollo Hospitals, who will be the session chair for this evening. Dr. Sanjeev Singh, Medical Director, Amrita Hospital. Welcome, sir. And also we'll be joined by Dr. Tarang Gyanchandani, Chief Executive Officer, Sir H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospitals. She will be with us soon. So over to you, Mr. Lal, for taking this discussion forward.
Thank you, Garima. I think it is a wonderful panel. I know almost all the panelists have quite some time, and this is a time for budget making. I think most of the hospitals are busy in making budget for the COVID-free financial year. So I feel, and I've seen most of the hospital, when I was talking to the CEO of some of the hospital, they are putting a budget for the technologies, new age technologies for the futuristic healthcare. They're spending money on this thing. So I think it is a good time we can talk. And the topic is new age technologies for the futuristic healthcare. Since this pandemic has led to the disruption in the IT operation of the hospitals. But on the positive side, what I have seen, it has pushed the organization towards the digital transformation in their IT operations. Most of the hospitals were working with the weak IT infrastructure, and COVID has exposed all of them. So we would like to understand from all of you, this push toward digital transformation will impact the IT operations dynamics in the coming future. So I request Mr. Rajiv Sikka from Medanta. So your views on this?
Uh, I think answer is obvious yes, but let me try to explain these three waves if we consider Omicron as the third wave. Uh, First wave, when we started, I think uh, aim was to ensure that how business will continue. So we call it as a business continuity plan, whether work from home or ensuring that patient care is taken care even away from the hospital. Wave two, if I summarize it, is probably cementing it or institutionalizing the efforts which we have done in the first wave. I'll give you an example. We were doing telemedicine in Medanta Gurgaon Hospital for a fairly long period, but it got multiplied by 11 times in the COVID first wave. Then we realized that let's cement it to other three hospitals, namely Indore, Ranchi, and Lucknow. So that's the cementing part, third wave. I think what we have decided now, looking forward, and which you also touched upon, is that how do we pick up the stuff. We did multiple experiments. There were multiple priorities. Nobody was sure. Purpose was to make it happen, and we experimented. Everybody experimented. So there were many priorities. So in this particular wave three, what we are doing is that we are looking up those task experiments which we strongly feel or believe can be taken forward irrespective of COVID or not. Because as you said, IT operations have been altered, modified for betterment, and how do we make it happen on a sustainable basis going post COVID? So this is the wave which we are now trying to prioritize, and definitive budgets are getting planned in this. What we strongly feel are something which is going to sustain. So I'll take a pause and say that yes, it is definitely going to continue.
Thank you very much. First thoughts for Mr. Rupak Barua. You are on the mute mode, Mr. Barua.
I think it's okay right now. Yeah, thanks, Neeraj. Uh, as we are discussing about the technology in healthcare, I believe that the global healthcare delivery system can respond to the toughest challenge with the help of technology. Uh, Particularly, we have seen, observed, witnessed in many occasions that constraints actually often create opportunities. That all we know, and we have certainly seen that during this, particularly in this COVID situation, that is the rapid increase of digitizations actually that has started taking place. Now, if we see this, whenever we are talking the digitization process, the technology, there was a survey by McKinsey, that's a global survey, and the executives that they could found out that the companies have accelerated. And it's a very interesting part. We all individually we have seen, witnessed, and as because Neeraj, you were talking about that, you were in touch with some of the executives. They're all busy with this your budget preparation, particularly emphasizing on the technology and the future technology areas of concern. Now, in that's a global survey. Actually, it has been found that the companies have accelerated the digitizations of their customer, particularly related to the customer care and the supply chain interactions. And of course, in this time, because of the customer and the supply chain interactions, more of this your re-engineering the internal operations by 4 to 5 years. So we have each and every company globally actually that we have accelerated 4 to 5 years in terms of digitization process. That is the one part we are talking about. And if we talk about that, the share of the digital or digitally enabled products in their portfolios has accelerated by 7 years in healthcare and in the pharma sector as well. So almost it has been accelerated is a 7 years. Now, COVID, which we are talking about, that COVID has been attributed as the tipping point that is driving this digital transformation, and these changes will be a long lasting. So I look into in that way that more actually accelerated from this COVID situation. It is not only going to last a long lasting near future, but it is going to transform the whole healthcare delivery system worldwide. That technology and this digitalization part. Now, we talk about for many years that we are talking about this healthcare leaders, about this strategic of importance of these technology solutions and this clinical workflows and the patient outcome. But never it has been seen because it was very difficult to communicate with the stakeholders, many of the stakeholders, that is the importance of this digitization of the healthcare. So as your question is a first question, that is a IT disruptive initial, but there is a lot of your positive side of this. Yes, of course, it is going to last. It is going to transform the whole healthcare delivery system, and this the whole part is going to change this the internal operation process, the clinical outflow, and the much better access to the healthcare. It is going to access. So as comparing the other all healthcare sectors, yes, as our organization we were talking about, yes, of course, we have benefited a lot, and we are really very seriously we are talking about the technology. Maybe yes, of course, we are talking about technology digitizations before the pandemic as well, but more now talking about earlier this our digitization part is we used to talk about the technology is maybe it's the IT enabled issues and or it is related to the IT only. But now even the advancement has happened in such a way that even the security of the hospital also, they understand the technology, the importance of technology, and they are also adapting this using of this we talk about because we have given all the IT tab to it, we have given to everyone. So they have started using the tab as well. So it is across all the verticals actually we have introduced this technology. Technology has become a major discussion point today. And we have started this initially we started with this that is the care to the patient, the virtual care, telehealth and all, which everyone has did. But many polls that we have increased, but in that actually we have initiated. But over the time we have developed this app that is a more user-friendly app. This is the payment gateway, so that there is a less interactions of the patients or the patient relatives with our front office staff. So many ways actually we have initiated our digitization process. We are taking the technology in a very serious way. Maybe COVID has given us a little bit more opportunity, but yes, of course, it is going to last forever. Thank you, Neeraj.
Thank you. It means your hospital is putting up money in the coming financial year for the new age technologies to manage. Thank you very much. Now the my same thoughts, same question from Dr. Sanjeev Singh. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Neeraj, for this question, and thanks for the invite. I think people did mention that there is a lot of technology interventions, and then they are budgeting for it. And similar goes the story for even us as a university teaching hospital. What you've seen during the COVID days is very interesting, that there is a lot of Indianization of the technology which is also happening, which has reduced the cost, which is a very welcome change. There is remote monitoring, which has also come into play, which was not there. So now information is available on your mobile. You could sort of track it and then take appropriate decisions at that for that particular patient. The other than the telemedicine, the point of care testing has also improved a lot. So we were not post pre-COVID, we were looking that as a cost for a point of care testing, and now it is accepted as a done deal. And we have seen a lot of advancements post COVID into molecular medicine. Diagnostics may not be in therapy, but for diagnostics, I think the world has changed, and a lot of precision and personalized medicine care happens because of advanced technology and newest technology. The way the communication happens, pre and post COVID, technology again has played a huge role, and that is where I think the patient portal and the information and the feedback and their experience sharing has improved. Since the infection prevention activity was not being able to be delivered at the bedside, the surveillance monitoring also has so in total there is a lot of activity which where the technology has brought in post COVID, and all this would formulate as part of budget, and plus the adoption from various sector has also become extremely important. The from the facility and design part, the negative pressures and central monitoring of it, and the negative pressure theaters if that is required at some point of time, that also was a new addition from the plan and design point of view.
Thank you. Dr. Gyan Chandani, welcome. So I was just asking first thoughts. Okay, this COVID-19 pandemic has led to the disruption in the IT operations. And now, this all the organization is pushing toward digital transformation. It has impacted the IT operation dynamics. So your thoughts on that?
So I think COVID operation has, I won't say that it has affected the IT operations adversely. I would rather say it has brought the reason for IT operations to be very, very critical in our healthcare. From the running point of it, it has become imperative for organizations to have not not only focus on IT operations, but also on the innovation part of IT operation as to how you can link the IT operation into not only the day-to-day working, but also digitization, and also how to come out with technology which can help in the not only the accessibility of healthcare to the patient, but also make it more affordable. And I think in COVID, as rightly shared, I think we have the diagnostics have been one of the areas which has been really digitized to the best extent. But I think apart from diagnostics, all of us have learned the reason to look at digitization and smooth IT operations as an imperative thing to run our hospitals, to develop new verticals which are based on technologies such as providing the care next to the patient. So it's the point of care is not only will be required as for testing people, but point of care will also be required in delivering of care. And for that, you have to depend on the technology. You have to also depend, because I mean, before COVID, who could actually believe that you can actually one day start looking at option which we were exploring the other days, of using robots combined with 5G technology to do the surgeries in remote areas. So now, once we are in a stage, we've reached a stage where we're looking at demonstration of effectiveness through the smooth IT operations. I think maybe 6 months or a year, it will become one of the realities. So it's the point of care also has moved towards the patient in the right essence and meaning of it. So we have always taken a proud of saying that we are providing patient-centric care, but patient-centric care is not only when the patient comes to you, it is when you as healthcare go towards the patient. Now, whether it is as a private provider or whether it is as a public-private partnership, I think IT operations will surely lead to many such associations with the help of new technology.
Right. Thank you. Now, my second question is to Mr. Rajiv Sikka. See, I think we have met in some of the platforms, so many panel discussion. We are talking about new age technologies, AI, IoT, and so on. But I have seen personally, since I visit the hospital, I'm a part of ISQA. I've seen not only in our country, this technology, if you see the penetration in our healthcare setting, it is not great. If you see, we are struggling, even big corporate hospitals are struggling with server, with data securities, the HIMS part of it, except few hospitals. So nowadays, AI is playing a major role in clinical decision. So, what is the future of AI in healthcare according to you? Because you lead one of the biggest group in the country. Do you think it can replace the conventional method of decision making and role of doctors? Because as of now, I'm seeing AI is not happening in healthcare. Though we talk about many things, EICUs and all, but on the ground level, the practical part of it, I have not seen a great progress into that. So, your thoughts and your views on that.
Sure. So, first thing first, strong believer that it will not replace doctor physicians. This is given in the, I mean, in the near foresighted future, which is like going to be for decades or more. And after a decade in the tech space, who knows what's going to happen. So, let me share some of the examples where we are practically doing something and it's in production. It's not something which is a proof of concept or there are some experiments. So in Medanta, in Gurgaon itself, we do roughly 500 to 600 X-rays on a daily basis, and 50% of which are nearly chest X-rays. And what we realize is that sometimes doing a chest X-ray, yet chest X-ray takes probably less than a minute to do the scan, but reporting take couple of hours to do, and it is having an impact on our day-to-day, because what happens is that there are two important aspects. If there is any delay, it could lead to quality of the service and also delay in the treatment plan. And we also run, uh, you know, India largest CSR, which is called TB Free Haryana. So in this, so you have to understand the use case, because unless you understand the use case, tech is nothing. Tech is never sexy. It's applicability, its solution is more sexy, more. So what we have is that a van goes to a rural area, and when the van goes to a rural area, there is, there are roughly between 180 to 220 odd patient comes in one single go. So we do chest X-rays. By the time radiologists see, patient is not around, because these are daily wages labor. They, it's too difficult to hold them. So what was happening is that roughly, 30, 40 patients were coming out to be suspect of TB. So we have to focus on those suspected TB patient. But what was happening is that TB X-ray reporting was taking too much of time. So we implemented an AI-driven solution. Now, as soon as the X-ray comes from the modality, a report comes simultaneously from the printer. So X-ray output in a film and report is parallelly there to the physician come radiologist who's already there. He doesn't have to see 220. Whatever is probable from that AI, he looks into those 50, 60 X-rays only. So compared to 200, now he's looking into 50. Out of this 50, he fit, later on when he sees the X-ray, there may be some false positive or so and so forth. So we came out with 30. So what we realize is that filtering of patient becomes very, very effective with this AI driven. So are we saying that there is no doctor or no GP or no radiologist? No, there is one. He's looking into that report, he's correlating with the image and ensuring that patient who is a suspected patient is well taken care. This is one example which we are already doing in Vedanta for a very long period now. And now it is replicated to other locations, namely in Patna and Lucknow. We are yet to replicate to two other hospitals, but slowly in phases it will go. I'll give you another example. We have been running, you took the example of EICU. Now we have been running uh, EICU, which is on a Hadoop cluster. Hadoop cluster is a big data analytics. It's hosted on the cloud for us. We have 33 out beds in the hospital, which are generating roughly, each bed generates per patient 20,000 data points per day. And per bed data generation is say if it's 1 unit, my whole hospital of 1200 bedded generates the same one unit of data. So that's the, now what we are doing is that we are definitely coming out with pattern, which we say that when the doctor comes into the ICU round, he doesn't look into the bedside monitor. He looks into that dog box, which is our e-monitoring device. It gives you complete trend of various vitals. Each and every vital is configurable as per the patient and as per the subjectivity of the clinician. He wants to monitor uric creatinine, he wants to monitor hemoglobin. Sorry, I'm not a doctor. Whatever parameters you want to. So we show the graphs. And based on that graph, we have a red, amber, green picture of the patient. So if doctor sees that at 8 o'clock the guy was in red, now somewhere at 10 o'clock he becomes yellow, and now he's looking like green. Can I step down? So this is already happening in Medanta for roughly 5 years now. Now, this is not great. This is not sexy. This is the interpretation. But what is going to be more important is that if at 12 o'clock doctor is doing a round, can he predict that what will be the patient outlook at 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m.? That's what we are trying to do. But that's something which we need a lot of collaboration between critical care doctors, data scientists, IT folks, biomedical companies. And that's we have not been able to crack, but we are seriously looking to this, because if we are able to come out with possible sepsis predictive analysis, we can save many lives. We all know that per hour of sepsis early detection can lead to reduction of 15% of deaths or mortality. So we have not reached that stage, but we have started doing it in pockets. It is going, your question was, is it going to make a difference in the clinical decision support system? My answer is definitely yes. May not be in the super critical, and you don't, Dr. Neeraj, you look into Medantas and Amrita, Sir Harkishan. These are not the, these are not representative hospitals in the country. We have hospitals where you don't have critical care doctors. We have hospitals
Yeah.
where one GP or two GP is managing the whole show. They will be assistant to those doctors, those hospitals. So, life is beyond top 20 hospitals of the country. That's my view, where AI will become a very important role in a country where we have severe shortage of doctors compared to the patient ratio. And that's what we want to do, by bringing that. Otherwise, we'll not be able to bridge that gap for decades and decades. That's my, as a tech guy, reaction. I'll take a pause.
Yes, that's great. I Great work by your hospitals. I think it is happening. Good to know. Now, my next question is to Mr. Rupak Barua from AMRI Hospitals. Healthcare with this pandemic is seen many tech startups in these times, but we have always seen resistance for adoption of technology, especially from the doctors. Even when you install a HIMS also, you feel too much of resistance from all these quarters. So, what are the challenges you face in implementing any technological intervention in your hospitals in this pandemic time, especially, and how you do see in the future, to how to supersede these challenges and make it happening?
Yeah, Neeraj, it's a very interesting question. I think it is not the is the doctor's resistance part. I think it's the pan India issue. And but there is a difference now. Before pandemic and the post pandemic, the huge changes that we can see, particularly in terms of implementation of any IT initiative. See, before pandemic, particularly your HIMS you are talking about, or EMR. Whenever we talk about the doctors, you will have to now go through this your e-prescription and all those things. So there's a huge resistance, particularly from the non-tech savvy doctors, or maybe little bit of senior doctors, senior consultants. But over the time, what happened actually during this COVID, the initial of the COVID situation, whatever the new initiative I was talking about, the IT technology, digitalization initiatives which we are talking about, there was a little bit of resistance initially. But once they could see that this is the only option, there is no other option, and they will have to go by this system only. Then really slowly we could see that the adoption is taking place. Resistance was little less. Now I talk about this your the e-prescription or the EMR when we are talking about. Yes, of course. Now every day we have a review system. We check how many footfalls there because we have 4 units across Eastern India. How many footfalls are there in each OPD, doctor wise and all, and adoption of this your EMR, doctor wise we review, and we see there is a real transformation of healthcare. If we are talking about that's a real, we can see there is a the adoption is increasing, and more of the senior doctors those were really was quite resistance to any kind of your advancements in IT. They are coming into in the online, and they are really helping us to take it forward. So these the doctors' resistance part, I should say that is a yes. Now there is a very less resistance, and rather now I could see that the doctors are giving us a lot of suggestions as well right now. Say, why not we do this? Why not you do more of the EICU care? Why not? Now we are taking care of patients. Once the patient is getting discharged, we are putting one sensor, and the doctors to their mobile, they are managing the patient at least next 3 days, 4 days, if the patient is little bit not in a very stable shape, because just to reduce the allows actually average length of stay, we discharge the patient, and because of the demand of the non-COVID beds, right now we have started shifting the patients at home and little bit of home health care, and the doctors are monitoring. Doctors are quite excited. Maybe a couple of doctors still they are not very tech savvy, but most of the doctors right now they are tech savvy now. They are using the smartphones. Uh, One part that I would suggest one thing to the other all, that we'll have to show how we could manage it, because we'll have to show the positive part, how they are getting benefited out of that. The technology actually is not that you can push. I mean, you can bulldoze. That's very difficult. Otherwise, there will be a lot of resistance. What we can show actually, that is what kind of benefits they are getting, and easiness of taking care of the patient during particularly midnight when there is a patient is getting admitted in an emergency. You will not have to rush to the hospital. You can rather you can see the patients. You can get all the reports through your doctor's app. We have created a doctor's app where all the reports they can see the images of the CT scan. What is the status of the patient? What is the blood clot part? What portion? Whether the patient needs immediate surgical intervention, or maybe the patient can wait till tomorrow morning. So those are the things is giving so much of comfort to the doctors. We are getting a lot of support. One thing also we need to see how we could manage also, that is the comfortability or the user friendly of any EMR that we are talking about, or the doctor's app we are talking about. We are daily we review and take the take the suggestions of the consultants, and we try to adapt it without changing the platform too much. We try to adapt it in our system so that doctors get more comfort using of this one. So user friendly, taking them into confidence, that actually has helped us reducing the resistance part, and really we are progressing, taking the doctors in our support. That's the whole part.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My next question is to Dr. Sanjeev Singh. In the last few weeks, I have attended few seminars as a part of a panel in, or various Indian Institute of Management and all. So they're talking about predictive analysis, which is coming up into the healthcare. So the widening physical distance between the patient and the care provider has gone up now. So they need a strong data analysis practices in the healthcare sector. So in order to make smarter predictions, data driven decision making, about what care is needed and how it can be proactively provided. So I want from your side any business use cases in predictive analysis that you may have used, or maybe you are focusing on, or the result that they have achieved. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks, Neeraj. I think what Mr. Rupak was mentioning was very appropriate. And just adoption of EMR, when we introduced this in 2005 to make it as a paperless hospital, just adoption of an OP, IP, ICU, EMR, and stopping of the paper printing itself is a huge cost saving, which was close to when we were running close to 800 beds. We had calculated it close to 24 CR at all levels. So that's a decent, immediate, direct benefit. But your question about predictive analysis, there is a lot of work which is happening, but I'm afraid I won't be able to immediately give a cost benefit or an effective or a utility analysis to it. But what is being done is exciting. So there are work which is happening at our institute on the vitreoretinal surgery and the diabetes and its link to retinopathy. And the predictive analysis is very, very promising. So, similarly for glaucoma, taking it for the medical or a surgical treatment, that predictive. So, AI has really worked well in ophthalm. It has worked well in imaging centers, imaging services. It has worked well in nuclear medicine. It has been working decently well in radiation oncology, though it is extremely risky because what you give a dose is highly toxic and you would not like to. So you play it on phantom rather than understanding whether it is done on the body. So it's going to take a lot of time. But I will again like to come back to diagnostics. And that is where, again, the predictive analysis is extremely valuable. And we have seen this within the COVID times. Left, right, and center, everybody has prescribed antibiotics and blood thinners and inflammatory markers during COVID time. So everybody in India would have taken azithromycin, doxycycline, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine during COVID times, and everybody would have got a CRP, IL-6, TNF, and D dimers done. So does that have any value? And there are many evidences that it doesn't. Inflammatory markers are non-specific markers that doesn't mention whether it is viral or bacterial. But are there any better markers? So there are plenty, and those are helping for understanding whether you need to react or act first to be better savior. And I think molecular medicine and those. Uh, Genomic analysis. So if you have BRCA genes, and that's what the lady in Hollywood did, and that's why she went ahead and did a preventive mastectomy bilateral because her mother had it, she had it, and it was 54 chances higher that she would get it, and that's how she went ahead. So is that helping? It is immensely helping. So genomics and genetics is one area. Cancer therapies and diagnostic is another area, which is phenomenal work which is going on. And there is another important. So if you're asking about a case study at Amrita, clinical decision support system is one where we have seen it with antibiotic stewardship, where there is an algorithm of treatment. Because whenever a patient comes in, he comes in with a fever, and fever doesn't mean it is we have to use a wonder drug of antibiotics. So it could be viral, it could be anything else. And can we identify it as a point of care and then give a rational prescription practice? And if it is, then what is an algorithm? If it is a fungal treatment or a tubercular or a bacterial or a multi-drug, or what is an algorithm? How you should, as per the biochemical and other microbiological indicator, you need to prescribe. And then again looking at the drug interaction, drug food interaction, and that helps. So clinical decision support systems we have done a pre and post, and we have realized that there is close to almost 3.4 or 3.5 CR of saving just using technology and using rational prescription practices. We've used almost similar. There is a new technology which has come, which is PROM and PREM. patient reported outcome monitoring, because you need to gone are the days where surgeons keep saying that my success rate is 96%, 97%. Patient has to say that success rate is high. And we are using this tool of prom and prem, and we have developed an app, and we are seeing a significant. So here the cost benefit is limited because we are still in the process, but 1.21 cr is the benefit when they have undergone using a quality of life EQ 5D 5L technology, and using some kind of a prediction to say that the procedure which was done was beneficial and had good outcome. So there is a lot of promising work, a lot of exciting work, but I think we need to look at those evidences, synthesize all those evidences, and put that into good practice.
Great. Good to know all those things. I think you're very right. Diagnostics and cancer therapy, I think it is happening, and they're doing good in these two therapies. Now, my second question to Dr. Gyan Chandani. See, in my previous hospitals during this COVID time, we have carved out our OPD 300 meters away from the main hospitals. So, what we have done, most of the patient who's coming to the hospitals, they got a fear. Okay, they'll not go to the hospital where ward and ICUs are there. So, we have created a OPD building and a health and wellness lounge where people can come do their health checkup, see a consultation, and go. And we have used a drone technology on a temporary basis. So this drone used to carry the blood samples from this OPD block to just 200 meters away, which is in the inside the hospital, floor to floor. So this technology has been used. We have also used AI cameras for the capturing of sad and happiness mood of the doctors and the staff. So this healthcare sector have seen the center state during this year budget. If you see, much needed digital pushes there in this budget. So national telehealth mental scheme, you know, incentivizing the startups, health, drone Shakti will push technology into the healthcare. So what are the key technologies according to you, which you will focus upon in the current financial year and beyond? What do you think? Your thoughts on this?
I think you have mentioned most of the technologies that everybody will be focusing while asking the question itself. So I think the key technologies which we are focusing on a lot is on predictive analysis. And we are not only, as you know, we have now Strand as a part of our own group. So with the help of that and having oncology as one of the key center of our excellence, obviously we are I think much ahead, but I always feel that we need to do it and then talk about it rather than talking about it while we are doing. So I think there is lots, and Mr. Sanjeev has already pointed out, so I won't repeat the role of genomic sequencing in drawing up the algorithms for cancer treatments and also monitoring for their success. But I think one of the most interesting thing that we are doing it, one or rather two. One is what we are doing it for our grassroots. So we are coming out with something which will not only use the point of care testing, but also provide secondary level of care at the grassroots connected with the quaternary or tertiary care organizations. And that will be one of the focus for us for the coming few years, because I think the way we are going, we cannot pinpoint on one technology that we will focus for 1 year. It is the ongoing journey for the next 5 years for all of us till we reach the goal. So one of the technologies will be to get the healthcare not only to the rich people in the metropolitan cities and help, because I think that's most of the hospitals are doing. I think the essence is when you want to create value for people is to take it to those who cannot have access to it or who do not, um, you know, have accessibility to it. So if I was to use a drone, I would rather use it for a rural uh,
Rural
healthcare
settings.
system, and that all is in the pipeline. But it's all right now. It's in a stage of where lots of dots are there. The dots have to be united, and the focus on the technology primarily, which will be on, of course, point of care of testing for sure, but not only portable diagnostics but also portable therapeutics. which is what is required to take the healthcare. So we already have a huge network of our outreach programs, which takes care of slums across Mumbai and beyond. We were one of the hospitals which was able to do the highest vaccination because of the fact that we are very well connected with the grassroots. And now we will be extending healthcare to these grassroots with the help of technology. So while our outreach mobile units take care of the, at the moment, preventive care and primary care of the grassroots, we will also be evolving into mobile healthcare units, which will take the therapeutic care to the grassroots units, which includes not only diagnosing but also treating them at that point of time. Rather, and also this will be done by, how I say it will be done with the help of technologies, because you may not have one senior doctors to travel across the entire spectrum near your organization or in within the state, but you can always connect him with the various doctors that will take these modalities of treatments to the people who really need it, and then let him connect it through the 5G as to how these procedures are done. So that is one of the, so we at our organization, we don't focus on technology, but we focus on the goal with what which we want to achieve with the help of technology. And then I think then things become easier, because technology is available to everybody. It's how you use it to make a difference. Second thing, which I think is one of the areas that we would be using AI a lot, is in our rehab department, which is also one of the country's best rehab units that we have at our hospital. And with the help of robotics, we will now be not only doing a predictive analysis, but also have personalized algorithms for the patients, which will be probably used to drive the care at home as well. So,
Great.
apart from the other initiatives on cancer and preventive care, I think one of the areas which should really benefit a lot with the help of technology, and that I don't think it's possible for any one hospital or group to do it, but it requires all hospitals to focus on, is prevention and wellness
Yes.
of the masses. I know it's
Yes.
not very high RPOP related initiative, but I'm sure it's not only the money that we want to generate. We all, as organizations, as healthcare providers, should also generate goodwill and actual social impact on the ground.
Yeah, I think you're very right. Apollo, like Apollo, we at Apollo do Apollo Pro Health Checkup. Our chairman focus more on Pro Health Checkup packages, and here we used to tie up with various companies like most of the other hospital, and we used to send AI generated report to these n
Correct.
number of employees
Yes.
screened. So what happened to those employees, CAD, non-CAD, what are the diabetics, so that what CMO can do in that corporate, because health checkup is not just report, it should speak something. And when you empower these HR heads and CMOs of these corporates, big corporates, because it is a part of their HR initiative, so that they can take an informed call with the help of the medical mentors which is available. Thank you so much for your thoughts and vision. Now, Mr. Rajiv Sikka, I just want to know one thing. Since Medanta is doing so many healthcare technology things, so despite the importance of EMR, as we all know, we talk about EMR, hospitals are struggling with a 100% implementation of EMR. This EMR struggle to scale, how to go to the next level, that is IoT, big data, AI, etc. As my basic system of record, which is EMR, is not in place. So maybe Medanta must have achieved something, but I'm talking about healthcare system at large. If you see the new scheme, which is new healthcare ecosystem where our Prime Minister Modi is talking about. So what are your thoughts, and what you feel can be done to make these things happen in the real world?
Sure. I think, Dr. Neeraj, I have roughly 6 years back when I joined the healthcare industry, I wrote an article called Beyond EMR. It's there on Google. It's called Beyond EMR. So
Okay.
you, like, if you look into and EMR, there are many advantages which we all know. Okay,
Yeah.
and what's going to happen is that despite all of these advantages, struggle to adopt EMR will continue, and simultaneously beyond EMR initiatives will also continue. Both will continue for some time, and eventually, EMR will move to. So I'll give you an example. The example which I took on the X-ray AI, it is not integrated to EMR except for getting the patient details, which is a basic API picking up from patient ID and some basic details like gender, date of birth, and so on and so forth. So in this particular case, most of the EMR will never capture all of these details which are required for new gen technology, the clinical decision support systems which we need. So these are like huge data points. Nobody captures per second or per minute vitals in the eyes of the ICU from the central monitor to the EMR. Nobody is capturing that. So that's also being not captured in my central EMR. It's a Hadoop different cluster where basic information, a simple chart of the patient goes from my Hadoop back to the AMR. So it's a one-time snapshot at the end, which goes into the patient daily progression notes. So my view is that we have to experiment with both the technologies, which is one EMR, other is clinical decision support system, whether it's AI or IoT or wearable device. I'll give you another example. When in first wave, Government of India decided that patient can be at isolation at home with mild symptoms or asymptomatic, it was announced at least in Delhi NCR on a Saturday, and we were part of the CMO meetings. We were not aware what to do. Nobody was aware what to do. So what happened was that we thought that let's integrate with HIS. Then it is going to take months and months. Nobody has that luxury of time. So we thought that let's that basic syndrome. Let's do it type. Done is better than perfect. So within 48 hours, by Monday, we were ready with a basic screen which was not integrated with the EMR, where patient can, after enrollment, can capture their daily vitals. And if vitals are above or below a threshold, an alert will go to a nurse and also to a doctor, and then directly we'll call it. So instead of calling 10,000 patients on a daily basis, we were calling, only patients who were below and above a threshold, and anything which happens on a for them on an emergency basis, we used to rush them back to the hospital. So there was no EMR in this. What you have to figure it out, that how do you make sure that some of these technologies which are nothing to do with EMR can still help clinicians and doctors to take a call looking into the basic vitals or whatever information they are seeking for. In this particular case, that guy, the radiologist or the GP guy who is there in the van, he doesn't have to look into very detailed report of each and every patient, because AI was giving him prelim report, and based on the prelim report, so there was no EMR in this case. Okay, so EMR will continue to have its struggle in the hospital for multiple reasons. It will get adopted, but simultaneously some of these advanced tech, IoT, AI, clinical decision support systems, big data will continue to flourish and will definitely make an impact in the healthcare. That's my view.
Great. That's nice. Now, since we have 5-6 minutes left, so one of my favorite questions which I want to ask, because this is the topic is new age technologies for the futuristic healthcare. I'll start with Mr. Rupak Barua. So, what are the top trends that will shape up our healthcare ecosystem in the year 2022?
Yes, Neeraj, as we are all discussing about the future of technology healthcare, and I have mentioned earlier that healthcare actually, this technology actually drive the healthcare system, and it will transform the total healthcare delivery system in future. Now, particularly in post-pandemic situation, what we have seen also as we have talked about that we have accelerated this year healthcare journey. I mean the digitization journey 4 to 5 years in future. So more of the tech companies actually, the large tech companies all over the world, they are investing a lot in this year futuristic healthcare, including this year Google, Apple. Everybody is now working very hard to come up in the market is a futuristic healthcare. I mean, comprising this year AI, machine learning, robotic. Now, one important thing that we could see that yes, in US already they started this year this 5G implementation of 5G, and in India also, government has given this in the budget. Also, we can see this is your 5G is implementation will take place in India as well. So that's a huge amount of technology advancement we are expecting. This if we are going to introduce this year 5G. That's as Dr. Dentalin was mentioning about that's a surgery, that's a robotic surgery and all will happen through this year 5G. Now, one good thing as well, if we see this year little bit of the statistics as well, the journey of this year futuristic healthcare. Now, at present, if you are talking about more is the smartphone. Is a smartphone as of by 2010, if you see that 34 million smartphone users in 2010, by 2022, it has increased to 930 million. And expected by 2040, it will be around 1.53 billion smartphone users will be there in the country. Now, if we are talking about this your internet users, yes, almost is your 624 million, 600 plus million people are using this your internet. It's a huge kind of the basic platform. If you see the smartphone and the internet, yes, this is the part of this your introduction of this your technology. Technology is going to take place in many ways, like your as we are talking about 5G remote surgery, then maybe health sensors and portable devices that already we have started. We can see the portable devices. This our our your iWatch actually is linked with this your cardiac one. So the sensor base, so we can understand the particular cardiac any issues that we'll be able to know. So these are the sensor-based portable devices is going to take place already it has started and it is going to take a new shape. This remote surgeries using 5G. Then of course there is a one area of the development is a 3D printers now which is coming the bioprinters. These are all latest advancement is taking shape. Genetic testing, many people are talking about. Yes, of course, in future, now, as of now, maybe let's say cancer treatment is happening to genetic testing, but there is a huge opportunity in this. And through AI technology, we'll be able to use this genetic testing in much better way. And of course, artificial intelligence will come up in the market so that we'll be able to use this artificial intelligence in healthcare, which has not yet taken place so far, but is going to take place. So these are the major areas. The tech companies they are doing a lot of research. They are investing a hugely so that they can come up with new devices, new artificial process, and and the service providers as well. They are also introducing, investing a lot, as you were mentioning earlier. That in the budget also they are allocating some additional fund for investment in this technology. So the new development is happening. The platform is there. This your 5G and the smartphone and your internet users and the provider, service provider, they are also aligned to invest in the technology, and it is going to give a much better effect in near future in terms of delivery healthcare. Yeah.
4 minutes more. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev Singh. Top trends that will shape healthcare in the coming years.
Sorry, Neeraj, can you repeat?
What I was saying, top trends that will shape healthcare ecosystem in the coming years.
Yeah, I think
According to you.
it is all there is a lot of work which is happening in clinical field where 3D printing is helping complex surgeries, pediatric cardiology, head and neck orthopedics. There's a lot of work which is happening in genome sequencing. There's a lot of work which is happening in radiation oncology, but precision medicine, because earlier there used to be a 5 height bunker for proton beam therapy, and now the proton beam is available in this. It fits into the same bunker with and you could get a radiation done on a sitting posture. So there is a lot of precision medicine. There's a lot of work which is happening, which is in robotics. It was a closed console in the earlier technology. Now there is an open console with all arms as disarmed thing. There is a touch-free technology which is available. There is a focalization of disease which is also remarkable. So a lot of things is happening in the clinical side, but I'm very surprised with a lot of things happening also from the patient's perspective. So the customer relationship management, the asset management module, the CSSD instruments tracking, barcoding, and tracking till the all the life cycles, and the similar thing as a patient follow up. So if any from the lab, if you're having HB1AC high, that's get tracked and email sent to what you need to do for diabetes chronic care. So some things which are so amazing. So people are using technology to the best, and I think clinical and patient care experience is improving and will improve a lot.
Thank you. Dr. Gyan Chandani, your views on top trends?
I think the top trends of in healthcare in general will be focused on improving the access of healthcare to the patients. Now that could be by means of technologies, by means of public-private partnerships, by means of linking the point of care, as as Dr. Sanjeev said just now, that if you have HB1AC high, how it could be linked to automatically not only send a critical alert, but also to start track the patient, put the patient on treatment. So it will be more of a personalized care, which will be the focus. And one of the key things which I think will happen over the next 5 years is that we all will have to be very, very focused on clinical outcomes, because patients are in general getting focused on clinical outcomes. There are patients who now talk in the language of half doctors also. When they come to the OPDs, they ask for what is the 5-year prognosis, what is the 10-year prognosis. And I think one of the key things is that apart from the focus on technology, I think we will be moving towards extensively towards harnessing the stem cells, which so far we have not done that much. I mean, we do it, but we are not focused in a way to do it. But I think that will be something which will be one of the key trends to look into it. And that's because it is driven by, again, the expectation on the outcomes by the patients, and all of it, how it will be all connected with the various platforms of technologies. I think these are all standard words which we have all discussed today: point of care testing, machine learning, IoT, AI, predictive analysis. The trend will be how we marry each of these to get the best outcome of service and clinical outcome for the patient, which will promote well-being and wellness of people and not only be restricted to treatment. Because I think the main focus has to be on wellness of the population, because that's where all the governments are looking at, that's where the patients are looking at, that's where the world is looking at, that how you can prevent. I mean, we are looking at developing health checkups which are very prevalent in US, where based on your not only biochemical markers but genomic sequencing and the predictive analysis of all those put together, you can actually today find out that this person has how much percentage of chances of developing cancer and at what age, and will that be responsive to treatment, and if not, then what action has to be taken now. So it's all moving in the direction of preventive healthcare and well-being. And I think the hospitals will be mainly for acute phase. And again, the continuum of care goes back to, will shift towards the home.
True, you're right. I think I agree with you. Healthcare will be only meant for ICUs, OTs, and all. Otherwise, healthcare is moving to home. I am coming home in that way. Now, the final shot from Mr. Rajiv Sekka, and then we'll close this session.
Sure. So all thing is covered. I think one important factor which, as everybody said, that care will be moving away from the hospital. So what is, important in this case is the mobility part. So whatever is mobile and, can be taken in the mobile will be the future trend, be it IoT, be it your wearable devices, be it your decision support system in the mobile, because patient is wherever, doctor should be in a position to see it in mobile. So mobility, according to me, is going to play a very, very important role in years to come.
Thank you very much. I think it is great to have you on the panel. I have learned a lot in the practical experience which you shared. Thank you very much. Over to you, Garima.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank all the panelists for, very pointed insights shared today on the various aspects of, the new age technologies for the futuristic healthcare. So thank you very much. And we would like to inform this team gathering about two of our upcoming events, the fourth Diagnostic Leadership Summit on the 22nd and the 23rd of March, and the second Pharma Leadership Summit on the 26th and the 27th of April this year. I once again extend a warm gratitude to all our esteemed panelists here for their time and presence. Please accept a small token of gratitude from our end through these certificates that we present to Dr. Tarang Yanchandani. Thank you so much, ma'am. Despite the connectivity issues, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm joining from London.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Mr. Rupak Barua, thank you so much for being with us and for your time and your presence. Mr. Rajiv Sikka, thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful listening to your insights. Thank you for being here. Mr. Neeraj Lal, thank you so much for wonderfully moderating this session this evening. And Dr. Sanjeev, thank you so much, for your presence in this session. And we would also like to thank all our esteemed speakers, sponsors, and attendees who are part of the third ELETS Healthcare Transformation Summit. And we look forward to connecting with all of you in our upcoming engagements. So thank you very much to all of you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.